Knowing me, how you thought you get away with that? If you switching up, I might have to switch a little face up. Right hand to the gavel, either way I'm getting caked up. Lying in the sand.
What up? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the show, Popcorn Heads. We're going to be talking today about Spike Lee's new movie, The Five Bloods. And listen, I'm going to tell you right off the back, it was a long watch. I'm not going to hold you too long. I'm going to let you know right now, it was a long watch. It looks like Spike tried to go the Scorsese route like Scorsese did with The Irishman and give us a long movie. This movie was 2 hours and 35 minutes. Prior to clicking on it, I said, damn, we're going to be here for a while. And we were. 2 hours and 35 minutes. I watched it between 2 days. Couldn't sit through all that. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the back, the beginning of the movie was boring. Shout out to Spike though, making a legendary movie. Delroy Lindo and the other brothers in there and sisters. But the beginning of the movie was very boring. A lot of talking. A lot. Reminded me of Rush Hour. I'm going to a foreign country. A lot of stuff talking. Yeah, it was very, very boring in the beginning though. I'll admit. Very boring in the beginning. So I'm going to tell you the cons and then I'm going to get to the pros. And then I'll wrap it up. So the cons are basically very boring in the beginning. He forced the history too much in the movie where it didn't have a place. It felt very forced, like shoved down your throat. It was too much. For example, there's one scene when Delroy Lindo, which is played the character of Paul, and his son was gonna blow up. He stepped on a landmine accidentally, and if he released his foot, he was gonna blow up. And his son attended Morehouse College, HBCU, as we know. And Delroy Lindo, in a very, very critical moment in time, started asking his son, who went to Morehouse? And the son was like, some famous track runner. He mentioned a famous track runner. He said, yes, you have to run like that famous track runner. Once we pull you off this landmine, you can't release your foot. We're going to tie this rope around you. You have to run like that famous track runner that went to Morehouse. You got to jump just like him. He was a hurdler. And it felt forced. Like, why are we for learning about famous black track runners? That's cool. We want to know history. But to force it down the throat, it felt displaced. Forced. Let's see. There's another scene where you're gonna see Air Jordans hanging from a rope in the middle of the river while they're on a boat. Very weird. The Jordans were brand new. Like someone like Spike said, here, take these and put them on the rope, like just out of the box. It was weird. And the kid was chasing the Jordans. The son came on a trip with him with these 5 Vietnam vets, or 4 Vietnam vets, and the son came on a trip with them, Paul's son. And the son was chasing the Jordans, trying to grab the Jordans as the boat was passing by that was hanging from the rope. And it was just weird. I was like, that's very random, strange. Let's see, another con. I'm gonna have to go to another con. Let's see. So I didn't like this. Spike Lee did his what he's known for, the talking in the camera thing. When he lets the characters and the actors talk in the camera, he does that. He did it in most of his movies. He does it when they directly look at the viewer and they talk in the camera. I really didn't like that. Now, if you're famous, if you're a legend, if you're a longtime Spike Lee fan, you like his way of directing, you're gonna like that. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of Spike Lee, other than the Malcolm X movie and a few others. I'm not really a big fan of his directing style. I love what he did for the culture and the people, but his directing style, I'm not a fan of. But yeah, he does that. He brought back his old directing style. The thing about Spike Lee that I wrote that I want to explain to you guys is, it's overall a Spike Lee movie, and you can see his directing didn't develop. It's the same Spike Lee you saw from Crooklyn. It's the same Spike Lee you're gonna see now. That's the same Spike Lee that you're gonna see. So those are most of the cons. There was too many jump cuts. That's another thing. I didn't like that. He randomly went to this Asian lady that was on the radio. He forced the history too much in this movie. And I understand these are famous figures or big figures back in the Vietnamese War, but it was too forced. They had they said, hey, the Asian lady was on a microphone on a radio station, said this song is dedicated to Marvin Gaye, and then it cut to Marvin Gaye singing his song a cappella. I don't even know if it was Marvin singing the song. I don't know who that dude was, but it was just too much, man. It was just too many jump cuts. He threw a lot of old school songs in the movie. It just felt out of place. It was forced, man. So I didn't like the Marvin Gaye a cappella thing. Now the pros, those are most of the cons. The pros to the movie, I'll tell you the pros right now. The pros to the movie was, it was funny as heck. A lot of the scenes were funny. A lot of scenes. First, the comedy in the beginning wasn't too funny, a little dry. Later on, it got really, 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 really funny. it got really funny. The guy in the red shirt, his name is Melvin. He was the funniest one. You can see he has a hat and a red shirt. Funniest dude in the whole movie. Another pro is Jean Reno was in it. Amazing job, of course. Good actor. Delroy Lindo killed this movie. And, you know, you talk about PTSD in this movie. You know, one going to war and coming back to it, what they have to deal with, the Black Vietnam vets. That was cool. We did learn history for the movie, even though it felt forced. That's what I didn't like about it. It definitely felt forced, but we learned from it. You learned certain things from it. A lot of pictures of the Vietnamese war, very brutal. Oh my lord, very brutal war. War's brutal, period. But you saw babies with their heads blown off, and it was just insane. It felt like Drake's Uncharted at the end, man. Just the random action scene too. I didn't like that. Just shooting each other, and all the vets die except for one of them. Chadwick Boseman. Here's another con. Chadwick Boseman was one of the vets that was in the movie, but he died early on in the movie in the past. So the whole point of the movie is these four vets are going back to Vietnam to look for his remains. Chadwick Boseman name was Norman. Stormin' Norman, that was his name. And he was their leader, and he died in the war. Later on in the movie, you find out the big twist in the movie is Paul, which is played by Delroy Lindo, accidentally killed him. Accidentally, but never told anyone. And that's why in the movie he had PTSD, and he was being haunted by Chadwick Boseman's character, Stormin' Norman. So later on, they go look for gold that Stormin' Norman placed there for them, that he hid. All five of them found gold at the time of the Vietnamese War, hid the gold, and years later they came back to search for the gold. That's the synopsis now, and also search for the remains of Norman. And when they showed the flashbacks to the war, when all these Vietnamese vets were in the war with Chadwick Boseman looked young, but their flashback and present day, they look like themselves, the same age. So when you go back to the Vietnamese War, you see Delroy Lindo, Paul, all those characters that are in the flashback, they look like they're 60 years old in the past. Then they play the present day, and they're the same age, 60 years old. Very bad. And I know that's because of budget and stuff. They couldn't really do it like the Will Smith movie, Gemini Man, you know, make an identical, you know, a younger version of themselves. But that is a bad move. If you do a flashback and you look the same age as you do present day, literally with the gray beard and everything, what's the point of that? Dude looked old running on a battlefield, and it was a flashback. That was no good, dude. So, yeah, it just wasn't good. That's a negative. I'm gonna put that out there. That wasn't good. But that's pretty much it. Good movie, big twist. It was a little too long. 2 hours and 35 minutes was way too much. Felt forced. You could tell Spike Lee wrote it with just some of the comedy and the 1960 and 70 talk, jive turkey. You could tell Spike Lee wrote it. I think Spike Lee needs to hand over his writing to people that he trusts that can do a better job without his coaching, because as a writer or director, when you write everything you do or write everything you direct or make, we start to see yourself in it, and it starts to be redundant because we know your personality. At this time, when you watch a movie, you can tell Spike Lee had a hand in writing it, just off the jokes and the comedy, and it was just, some of the stuff was too much. And if you watch Spike Lee movies, you'll know he did it. So I think he needs to hand that over. Great director, but Spike Lee is an acquired taste as a director, in my opinion. He's not something that a large group of people can easily attract to, like, you know, have an affinity to. He's an acquired taste, Spike Lee. But the action, I will say, was incredible in this movie. If you haven't seen the movie Old Boy, which was directed by Spike Lee, you got to keep in mind Spike Lee directed Old Boy. That was high intense action, bone breaking, blood everywhere. That was Old Boy. And this movie had some great action scenes, I'll admit. The blood, the guns, very, very good. So we can't sleep on Spike Lee with his action skills. But overall, you can see Spike Lee. It was a Spike Lee movie. Just watching it because of the signature Spike Lee styles that you saw in it. And his directing style, like I said, didn't really develop much for me. It's the same thing from Crooklyn. And I think as a director, you're supposed to increase and get better. But to take nothing away from Spike Lee, that's a brother. He's incredible. He does what he has to do. But if you like Spike Lee movies, you're going to like this one, man. But for me, I'm going to give it a 7 or 6.5 out of 10. But salute to Spike Lee. Go watch it anyway, man. And salute to Netflix for doing the Black Lives Matter collection. And we're going to keep the show moving. But shout out to Spike Lee, man. Great movie. I'm going to give this one 6.5 out of 10. I think it could have sharpened up on a few things. Thanks for listening to the review. Leave your comments below. I want to know what you think, if you saw it, or what you think about my review, and if you're going to go watch it after review. I just want to know what you think, man. So let me know below. Like, comment, and subscribe. And look out for my next video, man. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
The legs off his clan base and watch his dreams die from my success. Bad move. bad move. You shouldn't have done me like that. You pay the price. Don't take advice, make bad moves. The wrong move. You could have paid your cars right. Now it's bad news.